Hello everyone and welcome to the program. I'm Sean Kimalia, Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. We continue our countdown in expectation of the formation of a cabinet that will work in President Muhammadu Buhari's second term. And today it is 46 days and since President Muhammadu Buhari and his vice Yemi Osinbajo were sworn in for a second term in office. We at Channels Television are counting down to the president's formation of a cabinet. It has been sorrows, tears and blood in homes across the country with the recent attacks from so-called bandits or killer headsmen and armed men, wherever name they may be called, who have now turned some of our highways and forests into a den for slaughtering innocent Nigerians who go about their businesses. Well, the manner of the attacks have been terrific. They come out onto the expressway unexpectedly to shoot and maim unsuspecting citizens. A recent one is the killing of the daughter of the leader of the Afenifere leader, Pa Fashoranti, last week. President Buhari reached out to Pa Fashoranti while condoning him. He said, quote, that the security agencies would spare no effort to apprehend the culprits and bring them to justice. But Professor Wole Soyinka believes the situation in the country is beyond the capacity of the government of the day. Listen to Professor Wole Soyinka.
Of this nation are completely beyond it. That's a first admission. And thereby, stop thinking in terms of partisan government. It's got to form, in my view, a government of across political parties, in which they forget their allegiances and really confront this nation as a habitation of human beings, where very serious issues, economic, health, security, etc., and even threatened secessions and so on, are being every day. Each new question surges that. So that's the first thing. And convoke at the same time a national, what I call an indaba, across all sections, in which we all meet and debate everything, including the economy of this nation. I think that's the way to go. I believe very frankly that the problems of this nation are beyond the solution that can be offered by this government.
Those are the thoughts of Professor Wole Soyinka. Well, as the families and friends of the dead mourn their loved ones, one is unaware of the next victim of these vicious and mindless killers. Before they kill anyone again, where do we go from here? And how do we resolve these issues? Tonight, we shall attempt at looking at the issues and proffering solutions to them. I have joining me on the program a former deputy governor of the Central Bank, a lawyer, a presidential candidate into 2019 election, a political economist, Professor Kingsley Moghalu. Thank you so much, Professor, for coming on tonight's program. It's not a very good moment for the nation, considering the kind of scenario that is playing out. With the sort of statement coming from Professor Wole Soyinka, the scenario playing out, what do you hope that, or what do you think or suppose that is a fundamental issue here? Because it's a country that is insecure is a country that has no hope of development.
Well, thank you, Shehu. First of all, I must say that I agree with the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka's suggestion of an indaba, a collective coming together to address the fundamental problems of the Nigerian state that are manifesting as insecurity today. They also manifest as problems of the economy and many other problems of disunity, people feeling they want to leave the country. So there's a very deep problem that I agree with him. The kinds of solutions that are being put on the table are simply not adequate to address. The first fundamental solution to Nigeria's problems is that Nigeria must be constitutionally restructured to become a true federation along the lines of geopolitical and geoeconomic zones. That's the only way Nigeria can work. Governance has to be brought down to the people. The government at the center is not able to solve everybody's problems. And unfortunately, security which is a very fundamental thing, is breaking down today. So we need, number one, political will to be able to solve the problems we have today. And we need professionalism. Why do I say this? Political will in the sense that a lot of things we call security problems today, as they're manifesting in killings by herdsmen, are also political, because the reactions of the citizens goes beyond the fact that they are being killed to the fact that there are, whether right or wrong, other agendas. And if there are no other agendas, then why is the government unable and sometimes appearing to be unwilling to bring these particular killers to justice? Secondly, it's political because people then make the mistake of attributing the killings by these herdsmen, for example, to a particular ethnic group at large. So they blame it on, oh, Fulanese. We must never do this, because there are many Fulanese, for example, who disagree with the government of the day on how they're handling our security problems. So these are the reasons why I say that there's a lot of political issues behind what we call security problems today. And the question of political will is primary. If I was the president of Nigeria, for example, and some groups affiliated to me, maybe by ethnicity or by religion, begin to kill people, what should I do? The first thing I should do is to summon the political will to crack down on them, and everybody in Nigeria will see that they are being brought to justice so that they can have confidence that the government respects the lives of every Nigerian, as the government has sworn to do. So political will, it's what we call a security problem, is fundamentally political.
Professor, I mean, what perhaps will be the special thing that you were expecting from the president? When you say crack down on those who are, the president had indeed promised that the perpetrators of the killers of the daughter of Pa Fashoranti will be brought to justice. And do you think that there are people who are committing heinous crimes in the country, are being shielded or are being covered up or are not being prosecuted as they should be? Is that what you're saying?
Now, what I'm saying is this. It's one thing, first of all, I grieve with Pa Fashoranti and his family, like many other Nigerians. And so, you know, but I should mention that thousands of Nigerians have been killed before Pa Fashoranti's daughter was killed. It is possible that the government will do everything to fish out the killers of Pa Fashoranti's daughter. But what about the lives of all the others that have been wasted before this? Has anyone been brought to justice? That's what people are looking at. It's a problem across the board. You know, we should not just respond only to Pa Fashoranti because he is a very important Nigerian and an elder statesman. But what about all lives matter in Nigeria? And that's the kind of approach we want to see from the government. It's very important that the government completely develop a new lens of looking at this problem and separate any affiliations, separate any sympathies that may now make their responses look as if they are prioritizing the problems of a particular ethnic group over those of others in the country, and trying to export the solution to other parts of the country in a way that will actually further undermine the security of this country. That's the problem. So, you know, I don't know whether or not there is any intent to cover up anything, but when you don't act in a way that you're supposed to act, you leave the citizens a lot of room for speculation. And that's what I would advise the government against. It's very important that our security services be professionalized. It's very important that Nigeria's borders should be manned, because they're porous and a lot of weapons are coming in and a lot of people are coming in. That's why I keep coming back to the question of political will. These problems are political. If you don't do anything about your porous borders, are you serious about solving this problem? So that's what I'm saying. We need to professionalize the services. We need to control our borders. We need to take a very, very proactive approach to our security problems rather than a reactive approach, reacting only when people are killed. So I think, we're yet to see a proactive, advanced national security strategy that moves in to solve the problem at their root. For example, part of what is driving the herdsmen southward is the drying up of Lake Chad and desertification in the north. What is the government doing about this fundamental problem? That's the point. I've recommended, for example, there's a country that has conquered deserts, and that's Israel. They did it by using Negev as an agricultural place. Has the government of Nigeria engaged the Israelis to say, come and do this for us so that we can solve our problems at their foundation? Two, if you say, for example, you want to set up colonies of cattle herdsmen and so on, and many parts of the country are resisting it, why would you go ahead to try to do it? You see what I'm saying? And there's a lot of land in the northern part of the country, for example, and much less land in the south. All the states of the southeast, the 5 states of the southeast, their total land mass is less than 50% of the land mass of Niger State alone. So why would you say they should give you expansive land for those kinds of things? And in any case, why is a problem caused by a business that is a private business? People are proposing to solve it with public money. Have you solved the problems of other Nigerians and other parts of Nigerians with public money? So these are the issues that arise when we discuss the whole question of the security problems in the country. The responses to the security challenges we're having are so weak and not very well thought through, and it is creating the appearance of a lack of real political will to address those problems.
In combating insecurity across the world, some of the most deadly or the most difficult ones to tackle are the ones that are pockets, that are targeting soft spots, that are unexpected. And in fact, in some of the advanced countries of the world, the United States, the United Kingdom, these threats, when they come, they are hit in surprise of some of these issues. For example, what we see on some of the highways in Nigeria coming toward the southwestern region of the country, it then brings to the table on how to solve this problem. You were one-on-one and solving the issue in the northeastern region of the country. You know the insurgents that you are battling, but you are not quite sure of those guys who run up to the expressway and attack innocent Nigerians. Isn't it a difficult one? So when Professor Wole Soyinka, for example, says the government of the day does not have the capacity to solve the problem, is it fair to say that, considering the number of suspects that have been arrested by the Nigerian police and the efforts being made by the military?
First of all, let me begin by saying that I am not an apologist for failure. And I don't like excuses for failure. We should not spend time admiring the problem by giving ourselves the reasons why those problems are difficult or the reasons why they cannot be solved. The point is that the government is sworn to protect the lives and the properties of Nigerian citizens. It's their duty, and they have to do it. I, as a citizen, I don't think I should or anyone should accept excuses. Now, here's my solution. If you are talking about the problems of the Boko Haram in the Northeast, I'll tell you how I think we should go about it. If you're talking about the problems of bandits and herdsmen or whoever coming out onto the roads in Nigeria and attacking people, here's how we should go about it, and let me start with that. I have said that Nigeria is completely under-policed. We have a large country. You have 300,000 people in the police force, half of them guarding VIPs. How do you think any one of them, you can have an effective presence that covers the highways and the forests of this country? You can't. I have proposed that we need a minimum of 1.5 million police officers, men and women, well-trained and well-equipped and well-remunerated. This is what I say. This is what I mean when I talk about addressing problems at their source and at their foundation. It's not about putting lipstick on a pig. That doesn't solve any problem. the country is under-policed. So how can you? Number two is the whole question of state police. Security needs to be decentralized, but it should be decentralized as part of a wider constitutional process. And when even these criminals see this process begin to take place, they will know that the game is up. There was once a lot of kidnapping, for example, in the southeast parts of the country, but the political authorities in those states took this thing by the horns. They took the bull by the horns. They did not wait just for the police. So, for example, in my state, in Anambra State today, it's far more secure than it used to be, say, 10 years ago, when a lot of people were afraid of kidnappings and ransoms and all that. But that's because the government in the state, today when I go to the state, I see the efforts that the state government is making, you know, to make sure that there is security, because security is the number one thing. So effective policing is very important, and that calls for investment. That calls for restructuring of the police force. Then the matter of bringing security down to the people so that communities can become involved, have, you know, proper civil, military or civil police relationships that can inform the police of where these criminals are hiding, so that they have the equipment and the will to go and attack them and take them out flush them out before they start killing people. This is how a security plan should be thinking, not just reacting and wailing and moaning. Let's stop the pity party. Let's stop agonizing, and let's start organizing ourselves to secure the lives and property of Nigerians. When we come to Boko Haram in the northeast, again, you see that the problem is political. The Chief of Army Staff, Buratai, General Buratai, said publicly that one of the reasons that they are, you know, having problems in containing Boko Haram is that the soldiers are not motivated to fight for the country. If soldiers are not motivated to fight for the country, isn't that a political issue? Why? You should ask yourself why. Is it because they're not well equipped? If they're not well equipped and the government tells us they're voting billions of dollars for security, where's the money? If they feel that they're not being supported and empowered, if they don't feel loyal enough and patriotic enough to the Nigerian state to lay down their lives, why? So I keep coming back to the question of political leadership and translating it into an effective national security strategy.
Do you, I mean, perhaps a very critical question will be, do you believe the government of the day has a capacity to fix the insecurity situation in the country?
Well, the track record so far has not shown that capacity. So we are making suggestions as to how that capacity can be developed as quickly as possible. Sometimes in governance, you know, you may not be able to solve all the problems immediately. But the important thing is to signal. Signaling is very important. Signal the political will to crack down and actually act on that signal. If you do it a number of times, you may find the criminals themselves begin to beat a retreat because they know that the game has changed. So I think it's very, very important that we understand these things. Communication is very important. Holding people accountable is very important. If people are committing a certain crime and they're not being brought to justice, and instead, or government officials or leaders are making excuses for those people or appear to be doing so, you are undermining your ability as a government to be able to solve the problem.
All right. Professor Moghalu, before I allow you go, if you had to give an advice to the president on what to do, tomorrow is Monday, and if he were to take a drastic decision on the way forward for Nigeria in tackling the insecurity situation, what would that one suggestion or piece of advice be?
I would say, first of all, pick up the phone and call a foreign country like Israel or any other country that has shown an aptitude and ability to solve some of the problems that are affecting our security. You can have them in temporarily to advise the government and help to reshape the security architecture in a way that it can be effective. This is one thing I think you should do, because if we sit around pretending that we have all the solutions, I'm sorry, the track record has shown that we don't have those solutions. Number two, I would ask the president to immediately set in motion a security plan that has the following components. Number one, develop an effective presence that controls and prevents the influx of foreigners and weapons at all entry points in this country, especially entry points in the northern part of Nigeria. That's the first fundamental thing you must do. So if bandits or herdsmen or criminals are coming in with weapons, and you're proposing to people that you want to set up cattle colonies, those people will find their way into those colonies alongside innocent settlers from various parts of the country who have existed for many years, and there has been no trouble.
All right.
So, you know, these are the problems, and there must be political will to address them at the root. Third, pick up the phone, call Israel, and say, I want the government of Israel to come and help us, you know, reverse the desertification of certain parts of northern Nigeria.
We must
Number
leave it
four,
at that. Yeah.
you have said...
We must
Okay.
leave it at that. Thank you so much, Professor Kingsley
Okay.
Moghalu, former presidential candidate at the 2019 elections and a former deputy governor at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Yes, we'll take a break, but before we go, let's test how much of you know about Nigeria's political history. For this week, we are asking you, which of the states of the Federation has the highest representation in the House of Representatives, and how many of them are there? Send your answer to politicstoday@channelstv.com. We'll take a break, and up next on the program, it has not been a good story on the state of security in the country, but how do we fix the threat? More on what the President Buhari must do urgently. My guests will be weighing in on this one after the break. Gonna see you.